Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope all of you are doing good. Now with me here are a couple of mid-range devices which are aiming to be the best mid-range device in the market at this point of time. So this is the Nothing Phone 1, this is the Nokia X30 5G. It's been a year since the Nokia X30 5G was released in the market. I've done an initial review and comparison with both these devices. This is just going to be a long-term review, hopefully to aid you into purchasing, because there's still a lot of interest on a solid mid-range device. And there's still a lot of misconception of what the Nokia X30 can do, being slightly more inferior in terms of what the hardware has on paper compared to the Nothing Phone 1, which tends to have a slightly better hardware on paper and even at a slightly cheaper price compared to the Nokia X30 5G. So there are a lot of things to be shared here. Having used both this device extensively, I can give you my honest opinion, hopefully that you can make a better decision towards the end of this video. So both these devices are solid mid-range device. The Nokia X30 5G has undergone through multiple discounted sales, and the price is currently at what I would say is just appropriate for the Nokia X30 5G, and I probably would urge you to consider testing out the Nokia X30 5G, especially if you're in the fence of whether or not you should have it. Now, this is supposedly to be the mid-range killer, and this is supposedly to be the ultimate Pureview experience that you can get. Both are actually living up to the hype, but the Nokia X30 5G is definitely my favorite right here. Now, they are both eco-friendly devices, both made from recycled material, but the combinations of material used on the Nokia X30 5G is simply far more resilient to wear and tear compared to the one on Nothing Phone 1. As you can see, despite having a case to protect the Nothing Phone 1, it has suffered from multiple scuffs, chipped paints towards the edges that makes the cosmetic not as pleasant as it was when it was new, but the Nokia X30 5G looks as new as ever. So despite the so-called inferior build of plastic and aluminium compared to the premium glass and aluminium, when it comes to practicality, the Nokia X30 5G is the one to go. Now, the second aspect is definitely the display experience. On paper, the 120 Hz OLED display with 1200 nits of brightness simply outdoes the Nokia X30 5G, but how much of it actually translates in real life experience? Now, I have to say that the real life experience of both these displays are pretty much similar, but the edge is on the pure display technology that is used on the Nokia X30 5G, giving you superior vibrant colors that you don't get on the Nokia X30 5G. So if you can see the blues here, the blues are slightly washed out on the Nothing Phone 1 compared to the deeper, more vibrant blue that you get on the Nokia X30 5G. And to give you a better perspective, I'm just going to show you an image. So this is the Nokia X30 5G, this is Nothing Phone 1. Brightness are at its peak, as you can see here, and you can see side by side which device is having a better color reproduction. As you can see here, the display is slightly more washed out compared on the Nothing Phone 1 compared to the Nokia X30 5G. So this is where pure display technology is something that is really superior compared to the standard OLED display that you get on the Nothing Phone 1. Now, the argument between a 120 Hz and a 90 Hz, which is better, to me, for my daily interaction of use where I don't do much of gaming, the Nokia X30 5G simply seems to be the right one for me, because you get a balance out of smoothness and battery life compared to the Nothing Phone 1 at 120 Hz. Your daily interaction with your standard apps might not be something that you're going to perceive the difference, but probably when it comes to gaming, so that's not much of a deal breaker right there. Now, one superior aspect of the Nothing Phone 1 is the stereo output. The combination of the earpiece and the bottom firing speaker is supposedly to be better than the single firing speaker on the Nokia X30 5G. In fact, the Nokia X30 5G, when it was initially launched, has a slightly tinier volume than what it is now after the recent update to Android 13. So I'm just going to max out the volume here and let you experience stereo speaker from the Nothing Phone 1. So I would say that the speaker is definitely brilliant, and this is the experience on the Nokia X30. So I would say that the stereo output of the Nothing Phone 1 is something that is slightly better than the Nokia X30 5G, but the Nokia X30 5G is decently loud enough, decently having a good audio reproduction. And in terms of practicality, especially if you're watching movies or listening to songs, these days we tend to use our headsets. So gone are the days where you're going to blast your stereo speakers and listen to music in or watch a video in public. The options are definitely good to have one. I would definitely prefer to have a stereo output on the Nokia X30 5G, but it's not much of a deal breaker for not having one. In fact, if you had followed my previous review on the Nokia XR21, which has a stereo output, my top firing speaker has some issues, so I have actually disabled it, and I just enjoy the mono speaker from the bottom. So not much of a deal breaker, but it is a good option to have one. Now on paper, both these devices have a similar battery life, but I would say that the battery capacity, battery charging speed, they're quite similar, but the Nokia X30 5G has a better battery life overall. Now, one aspect that I would love the Nokia X30 5G or the successor to be included is to have wireless charging capability, which is missing on the Nokia X30 5G. It is still not a deal breaker to many, but having the options of being able to do more is certainly more welcoming than not having one at all. I might not be using wireless charging on a daily basis, but from time to time, the ability to charge a device wirelessly is certainly going to be helpful. And there is also a reverse charging capability with the Nothing Phone 1, which is definitely handy. And the current generation of the Clarity Pro earsets with the wireless charging case would definitely be a complement to a reverse wireless charging capable Nokia device. So there's something that I wish HMD Global will look into. So what about the performance? The Snapdragon 695 and the Snapdragon 778. Now in reality, as I've said before, on paper everything seems to be superior on the Nothing Phone 1, but daily interaction would show otherwise. I shown earlier in my initial review that the Wi-Fi speed on the Nothing Phone 1 is superior, but it's not sustained compared to the slightly slower but more solid, more sustained experience on the Nokia X30 5G. So it all boils down to how those numbers translate to actual use experience, and I would say that the experience is pleasant on the Nokia X30 5G. Not as much of a difference you would expect from the far superior hardware on the Nothing Phone 1 right here. So just to show you an example, let's go to some websites. Okay, just try to launch it together. 1, 2, and go. And you can see that connected to the same speed network and having both side by side, tad faster on the Nokia X30. Not much of a deal breaker, but just to show that they are very well much optimized. You're not going to perceive much of a difference on your daily standard use. So just to load another website, another web page to show you. 1, 2, go. Slightly faster on the Nothing Phone 1, and you can see here all loaded well. One last web page to go. Let's click into it. Hopefully it's the same news. Okay, 1, 2, go. So as you can see, this time around the Nokia X30 5G outdoes the Nothing Phone 1. So daily use, those numbers don't actually translate into something significant that you might want to consider. Now for me, it all boils down to the camera experience of any device that I have. Having an extensive experience with the Pureview offerings from previous generation of Nokia, I can confidently say that this Nokia X30 5G has the best Pureview experience till date. It has a more mature software algorithm and a much capable hardware compared to any Pureview devices previously. And the Nothing Phone 1 is not that bad either. It's just that the software experience on the Nokia X30 5G is much superior for me. So I'm going to share with you some of the images taken with the Nokia X30 5G. I also have a comparison of images of both these devices done before. I'm waiting for the Nothing OS 2 upgrade to arrive to the Nokia, also for the Nothing Phone 1 before I revisit a camera imaging comparison. But for now, this is some of the samples from the Nokia X30 5G. Now, all in all, both these devices are fantastic for what they have to offer. The Nokia X30 5G seems to be a more interesting device this day, having used them extensively for about a year now. I can conclusively say that this is a device that is going to stand the test of time. It'll definitely going to last longer. The performance is something that you would be happy to use about, and a lot of things from the Nothing Phone 1 doesn't actually translate to something that is practical or something that should be taken as a considerable factor to purchase a device. When it comes to the glyph interface at the back, all the hype died off pretty much soon after the device was released. In fact, I switched off the glyph interface because it was wasting my battery life and doesn't actually add much into any additional advantage compared to the standard display notification from the front. And factors like the more powerful hardware on the Nokia Nothing Phone 1 doesn't actually translate to a significant difference compared to the slightly more modest hardware on the Nokia X30 5G. And finally, even the display, having a much better display on the Nothing Phone 1 in paper, in real life the Nokia X30 5G simply does better here. So what I'm trying to say is don't just look at the numbers, but look into the actual use experience, and this is where Nokia is excelling. They are giving you a device that actually does what it's supposed to do, whereas on the device like the Nothing Phone 1, much of it is hype. I do hope to see that the Nothing OS 2 brings a substantial update to improve its usability, but I won't be quick to dismiss the Nokia X30 5G. It's still a better device overall in my opinion, and with its more potent camera on the front and the rear, I believe that this device is worth investing in. So what I would like to see from the future device that is going to replace the Nokia X30 would be, I don't mind with the design of the device. I don't mind with the choice of display either. A 50 megapixel camera, which is optically stabilized from a premium sensor with larger pixel, is definitely better than a higher megapixel camera, which makes the device take a lot of its processing power and might not actually give you the results that you're expecting for. So I did make a comparison between the Nokia X30 and the S23 Ultra with 200 megapixel, and all those numbers might not actually translate into benefits. So 50 megapixel camera is pretty good. Probably a higher megapixel count for the ultra wide would also be welcome, and with the combination of the fusion technology, we can get much sharper image. I would prefer a better dynamic range, especially when it comes to the low light experience. And I believe that if Nokia wants to get a winner out of their mid-range device, it is high time for them to include a telephoto sensor for their mid-range offering, something that is not being looked into by many manufacturers. So overall, I have to say that having used both these devices extensively, the Nothing Phone 1 is definitely a good device, but the Nokia X30 5G seems to be more faithful to what it has to offer. And I believe that if you have to see a successor to the Nokia X30, things are just going to be exciting because the benchmark set by the Nokia X30 5G is really high. So with that, I hope to see you in my next video. If you have any questions, do hit me out below in the comment section. I hope to see you in the next one. Do take care and stay safe.